log in and stream. So guess what? We're that much closer. So he said, let no man deceive you by any means. The fall away first, and that man in sin be revealed, the son of perdition, the son of destruction. That's the person we need to look for. And what he's going to do, verse 4.
Who opposed and exalted himself above all that is called God.
That's the same thing Daniel said, isn't it? That he shall magnify himself against every God. What else?
Or that is worship.
Now he going to be anything worship. He going to be the highest thing. And guess what? If the man of Rome decide he want to go to Chicago to Soldier Field, and he give a 2-hour notice, guess what's going to happen? In 2 hours, Soldier Field going to be ready. It could be a Bears playoff game for the championship. Guess what? It's going to be rescheduled. That's how much power he has. Why? Because he exalts himself above all, and everybody follow it. And say, who exalts himself above all that is called God and worship, so that what?
So that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
And that's what he called himself. He called himself the vicar of Christ, or the replacement of Christ. That's what he calls himself. That's why, like Elijah mentioned last night, that it says anything that he says dealing with theology or dealing with dogma is that's solid. You can't change it. He don't care if it's in the Bible or not. Why? Because he exalts himself above all that is called God, above all that is worship. That if you do not acknowledge him, you will have nothing coming. Why do you think all the kings of the earth got to bow down and kiss his ring? Even Obama had the limo ride to the airport. Why? Because he had a ring to kiss. Every leader is supposed to pay homage. Verse 5.
Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things.
Uh-huh.
And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time.
And now we need to pay attention. So when we see these things, that's why you need to pay attention to current events. Pay attention to the stuff that's happening in the world. Cut off the TV. Cut off the Netflix every now and then. Turn on some CNN. Turn on some BBC. Check your emails from Elijah and from the brother Ozell from the Israel of God. Watchmen are out there keeping you abreast of what you need. But we be so caught up in these worldly stuff, these worldly events, that we don't pay attention. Don't be like those 5 virgins who had a little oil, didn't have enough. So he said that, and now ye know what beholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Verse 7.
For the mystery of iniquity doth already work.
Let's say, look, the office is there already. Paul was a Roman citizen, so he knew what went down. The office is there already, just like it's here now. But we're just waiting for the one to move into the holy place, move into the glorious land, into the temple of God. That's what we're waiting for. That's the ultimate sign that we are looking for. Go ahead.
Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
So how long is he going to be in office? Until when? The Lord come back. Until he faced the princes of princes, like Daniel said. Even Paul is saying, look, he's going to be there until the Lord come back and destroy him with the spirit of his mouth. Understand this, verse 9.
Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders.
And that's what Daniel told us. He said he shall not do it by his own power. Satan shall give him all the power he needs. That's why deception is a powerful thing. Because in the other scripture, which we probably going to read it. Matter of fact, let's read it. Go to Matthew chapter 24. Because remember, Satan going to give him all types of power and lying wonders, right? And he kept saying, don't be deceived, don't be deceived. That means he's going to show some powerful stuff. Matthew chapter 24. And we're going to start at verse 15 again. We're going to pick up where we left off. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 15. When you get there, go ahead.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand.
All right. So when we see this man who shall promote himself above every god, and he shall cause the sacrifice and oblations to cease. When that happens, this man gonna move into the temple. That's what we're looking for this man to do this, to fit all the characteristics. Not gonna desire women, gonna be a king, gonna have power from Satan. That's what we're looking for. Then when we see this, what should we do? Verse 16.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
All right, this is going to take some great faith. Because that means you have to drop everything and find a place that's safe. Because the Lord ain't going to wrap you off. You got to deal with it. That's nice to know. Because if you're looking for a rapture, you're going to stand there, well, I don't have nothing to worry about. Sitting at the bus stop, all this drama going on, you sitting there smiling at everybody. What you running for? The Lord's on his way. Sit here with me. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about no mark. Just sit here with me. Your head's not going to get chopped off. They're lying. Sit here with me. The Lord is coming any minute now. When the Lord said, look, get out of Dodge. Mountains, flee. Get out of there. And why is that? Go ahead.
Let him which is on the housetop not come down.
Now it said, even on the housetop, don't go back in your house. That's how urgent it's time to get out of town. Go out. What else?
To take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
So you don't have to go pack a duffel bag. Don't worry about that stuff. Whatever you got on at that minute, as long as it's modest, get out of town. Because you can be listening to the radio, have some XM radio going, and you in the shower. Get your clothes on and get out of town. Go ahead.
And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
So it said, look, he keep talking about running, right? That's why he said flight. He said, look, if you're breastfeeding, I feel sorry for you, but you still got to get out of there. And I hope your flight not in the winter, especially when Chicago winter, last winter would have been sweet. But if it was the winter before last, y'all remember all that snow we had? And think about it, you have to flee in that. We couldn't even get to the grocery store for a couple of days. Lord said stuff still are going to happen. You better pray it's not that way. But either way it goes, don't hang around where you are. Because it's about to go down. And he even said on the Sabbath day, because in some places, especially if you're around Israel, the Sabbath day, everything is shut down. And that goes to let you know that the Sabbath day is still good. How stuff don't change. Verse 21.
But then shall be great tribulation.
Now we finally got the tribulation. You see, all the stuff we read wasn't that tribulation yet. The wars and rumors of wars, the pestilence, the famines, earthquakes in diverse places, even the persecution of us. Guess what? We haven't finally got to tribulation until we see this abomination, desolation move into this temple. Now we at tribulation. Go ahead.
Such as was not since the beginning of the world, to this time, no, nor ever shall be. That's going to be the worst time we ever seen. The Inquisition going to look like a birthday party compared to what's about to go down. And this is stuff we got to get ourselves ready for. That's why, tribulation. Are you ready? That's going to be worse than them persecuting us before this happened, before pre-tribulation. That's what we're in now. We're in pre-tribulation. But when actual tribulation comes, are you going to be ready for that? Go ahead. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved.
Now, if the Lord didn't shorten these days, no flesh shall be saved. That's how we know that, look, those wars and rumors of wars, man is always at war with each other, but not until nowadays is man this powerful that no flesh can be saved. Now, until recent years, man this powerful. Matter of fact, stuff so bad they don't even need men to drive airplanes no more, do they? They got drones now. They'll do remote control. Boom. Easy. All flesh can be gone, just like that. President be sitting in his bed like he playing PlayStation. Yeah, buddy. Why? Because that's where we are right now. Doomsday clock, 5 minutes from doom. Even atheists understand that. Why? The only thing we need to do is Jesus said, look, just look out the window, pay attention to the signs of the time. Get yourself ready for this. This is going to happen. My word is going to stand. What verse you at, bro?
22 middle.
Start at 22 again.
And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not.
Why?
For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Now
that's kind of deception he's going to show. This abomination desolation with power from Satan is not going to be doing no putting hands on somebody's head and pushing them on the ground. He's going to show some real deal miracles to the point that if we didn't know about it, we might be suspect like, hey, maybe he is from God. That's why it's important that God let us know all these things to prepare us so when it happens, we was like, okay, the Lord, the God we serve, the one true God told me that he was going to do this. I know where he get his power from. So we don't assume that it's from God because he claimed to be a man of God. And what did Jesus say in verse 25?
Behold, I have told you before.
Why? Because that's what God do, don't he? Ain't Jesus saying yesterday, today, and forever? What did he tell us in Isaiah? I am God, there is no else. I told you the end from the beginning, declaring all these things in ancient times. So it went down, you know that my word stands. And what is he doing in the flesh? I'm telling you this stuff beforehand. Even we would have read in St. John 16, we would have read the next verse, he said the same thing. I told you these things beforehand. Why? So when it happened, you will not faint. And that's why we serve the awesome and merciful God, because he let us know before he do it. That's what he said. He said, I would not do anything except what? I show it unto my prophets. But it's up to us to actually read what he showed unto his prophets. Now, let's go to Revelation chapter 13. Let's see what's going to happen during tribulation. Now, at this point, the abomination desolation, Revelation chapter 12. The abomination desolation, he just caused the sacrifice and oblation to cease. Now, at this point, we got 1,290 days until Christ returns, or that seventh trumpet is blown. Now, what did he say we're supposed to do? When we see the abomination and desolation stand in the holy place, we're supposed to flee, right? Well, let's see what Revelation 12 has to say about that. Revelation chapter 12, we're going to start at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And that's what Elijah went over last night for all those who saw it. He was talking about the bride of Christ. Which one, Israel or Rome? This is the very woman, his church, his bride, the bridegroom going to look out for his bride. And he said, there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman, talking about the church, clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars, referring to the dream that Joseph had in Genesis 39, I believe. But verse 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. All right,
now this great red dragon is talking about the revival of the Roman Empire, or the Roman Empire, or Babylon at that point, at the last beast. Because if you count the heads, it'll tell you that it had the head of a lion, head of a bear, and that's what 3, right? Lion, bear. Then it had the 3-headed leopard, which is 7, about 7. So basically that's talking about the whole Babylon kingdom. Go ahead.
And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. All right. Now what happened when Jesus was born?
Herod killed all the babies, 2 and under? Because Satan was trying to destroy the woman. When the woman gave birth, he was trying to destroy the child. But it didn't happen because God looked out. Go ahead.
And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
All right, so that's what happened. Now we're going to jump all the way to the future and look at verse 6. Because when we see the abomination desolation, what did he say? Flee, right? And what shall happen in verse 6?
And the woman fled into the wilderness.
And that's exactly what happened. The woman is talking about the church. And the church is all those, not just Israel only, but all those who come under the covenant, who come under the blood of Christ, as is written in the Holy Bible. That's part of the woman. That's part of Christ's bride. And it said the woman fled into the wilderness where what?
Where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
And that's 1,200 and what days? 60 is 60. But what did he tell us previously about the abomination desolation? He shall cause it to cease. How many days was that? 1,200 and how many? 90. It's a 30-day gap, isn't it? 30-day gap. What is that 30-day gap? You have 30 days to get to a place that's safe. You have 30 days to flee. Because the 1,260 days is when tribulation is actually going to jump off. The first 30 days of the first month is just a warning. Like, look, I'm preparing to do this. As soon as I step foot day one into that temple, it's over. So that's why he said it should be 1,290 days before the seventh trumpet is blown. And here it says 1,260 days where this woman's going to be in a place that's real safe. So he said in verse 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness where he hath a place prepared to God, that they feed her there 1,260 days. Jump down to verse 14. Let's see what happened on that journey. Go ahead.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. All
right. Now it says, into the wilderness, and the one was given 2 wings of a great eagle. Now that should sound real familiar, doesn't it? Because that's how the Lord operates. Right on the board. All right. All right, now the first, the abomination desolation caused the sacrifice to cease. It's 1,290 days, right? This is when he caused the sacrifice and oblation to cease. Now, 1,260 days, this is the whole time of tribulation. And do some simple math. That's a 30-day gap. From the time he caused the sacrifice and oblation to cease to the time the tribulation actually starts, when the woman's going to be nourished in a place of safety or in the wilderness. 30-day gap. So that means we got 30 days to make it into the kingdom. And time times plural, and half the time is 1, plus times is 2, and a half the time is 0.5. How long is that? 3.5 or 3.5 years, which is the exact same time as what? 1,260 days. So 1,260 days is 3.5 years, or, which we also read, 42 months. All that's the same time. And that's how the Lord words stuff. So 1,290 is the time he's going to cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease until the seventh trumpet is blown. 1,260 is the exact time of tribulation, also the time that the woman's going to be nourished in the wilderness. It's a 30-day gap. That's the exact time that we have to get to this place of safety, which is going to be times and a half a time, which is 3.5 years, same time as that, which is 42 months. So we'll just put all that under the same banner. Everybody got it? Y'all good? Okay. So now, it says in verse 14, and to the woman were given 2 great wings of an eagle. Now, to show you how Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, right? Since we got a little time, we're going pretty fast. Hold your place here. Go to Exodus 19. Show you how God operates. Show you how God don't do anything new. Because people are like, well, you up here talking about we need to go into the wilderness, dude. You a nut. Well, I'm just doing what the Bible says and how God operates. It's not anything new for God to take his woman out of a place and bring her to the wilderness. Exodus chapter 19. Exodus chapter 19, and we're going to start at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel was gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai.
Now you see how the Lord operate? Then he said he gave the woman 2 great wings of an eagle to fly into the wilderness, right? Well, it's the same thing that when the children of Israel and his bride, his woman, was brought out of the land of Egypt, what did he bring them to? In the wilderness. Jump down to verse 4 and see what he said here.
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
Now that's why I say this should sound real familiar, doesn't it? He said, you have seen what I did to Jesus, how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Now let's go back to Revelation chapter 12 and read verse 14. When you get there, go ahead.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle.
Same thing, isn't it? Same thing. That they should go where?
That she might fly into the wilderness into
Jesus
her
Christ,
place.
the same yesterday, today, and forever in everything. He told you the end from the beginning. He don't change. Why should he? It worked the first time, do it again. Why should he come with something new as a rapture? He's never raptured anybody off to 3rd heaven. Never. So why should he do it again? So it said, to the woman were given 2 great eagles of an eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into where?
Into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent.
And how long is that? 3.5 years, 40 and 2 months, 1,260 days, the exact time of tribulation. Verse 15, is it going to be a pleasant walk? Is it going to be a walk in the park? This is why I say, are you ready? Because it's going to take some great faith. Because remember, you got a decent house. You know, you might have a Cadillac, something nice, or like me, a Chevy, whatever. You might have some decent stuff. That means you're going to drop everything, and go to some wilderness you know nothing about. You don't even know it's going to be indoor plumbing. You don't know what's going to happen. But either way it goes, the Lord said, flee. And that's how the Lord always operates. What did he say to Abraham? Hey, Abraham, man, I know you had everything set up there, but drop one, bring me to this land over here. Abraham didn't know where he was going. The children of Israel, what did he tell them? Look, you're going to come to this place and worship me. They didn't know where they was going. So the same thing like us. That takes great faith. Are you ready for this? But you don't have to go. That's the whole thing. You can hang around here, but you're going to understand what you're going to go through. Which, on the flip side, you might have to be mentally prepared for that, because not everybody is going to go. We're going to find that out. So he said they're going to be hid from Satan, right? Verse 15.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
So basically, everybody going to know what we're doing. It's not going to be a secret. And Satan's going to try to destroy them, just like when we came out of the land of Egypt. He sent Pharaoh's army after them, didn't he? And the Red Sea swallowed them up. Guess what? The same thing going to happen over again, except this is going to be something different. Verse 16.
And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. So
Lord ain't going to part the Red Sea. He's going to part the earth. He's going to cause an earthquake to open up, and that army that's chasing the bride ain't going to have to worry about it. But let's see what else is going to happen. Verse 17.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which kept the commandments of God and had the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Now everybody, the whole church is not going, is it? That means some people are going to be left behind. They're not going to make it to the place of safety. And the Lord might have his reason who he want to keep in it. It makes sense because somebody has to be back there to teach people who are still in tribulation. Somebody has to be. And if you think about it, that could be your only way to get into the kingdom, to give your life, because there's a large chance you might die. He said he's going to wear out the saints, right? He's going to fight against his holy people. He's going to destroy wonderfully. So that might be your only opportunity to get into the kingdom, because God is so merciful. Oh, yeah, you've been tripping. You've been walking on that, what they call it, lukewarm all this time. You know what you were supposed to do. You was only doing the Sabbath and dietary law. So I'm going to leave you behind so you can get your life. That's the only way you're going to get in the kingdom with me. Dying for Christ is guaranteed first resurrection. That might be the only way. That's why I tell people, hey, get it together now so you don't have to go through that. Matter of fact, the Bible even tells us that maybe he'll keep us from the hour of temptation. But a lot of people don't believe fat meat greasy and they want to do what they want to do. Like Elijah said. But this could be your opportunity. Don't go to the wilderness. That might be your opportunity. Or do what you're supposed to do now. Maybe the Lord allowed you to go there. Because he said ain't no fool going to enter in. The choice has always been ours. I don't know. I think God just going to let us in on GP. I haven't seen that happen yet in the book. So he said, and the dragon was wroth with the woman. He got mad because he wasn't able to destroy the woman and went to make war with who? The remnant of her seed. And who is he making war with? Those who keep the commandments and the faith of Jesus. That's who he's making war with. He's not making war with people who just say they have faith. They ain't keeping no commandments. Y'all dead already as far as he cares. He's not making war with those who keep the commandments and not calling on the name of Jesus. Same thing. He's making war with those who are doing both, that believe in Christ and actually doing what the Bible is saying, not halfway, but doing it. That's who offends Satan. That's who he has enmity against. That's who he's going to make war with. That's why we need to pay real close attention and keep evaluating ourselves. Tribulation, are you ready? Let's go a little bit further. Now we're in full-fledged tribulation. Let's go to Daniel, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Isaiah 16. And we're going to start at verse 1. Let's take a look at this wilderness thing. Isaiah chapter 16. And we're going to start at verse 1. So he's sending a woman to the wilderness on eagle's wings. Let's see what it was going to look like. Isaiah chapter 16 and verse 1. Y'all remember when it said that Edom, Moab, and Ammon, those countries he couldn't do anything with? Those countries he couldn't touch? Even though it's right under where he is? The Lord got everything wrapped up. Isaiah chapter 16 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness.
All right. Now look what Isaiah said. He said, send ye the lamb to the rulers of the land from Selah, from Jerusalem. That's what Selah is, from Jerusalem to where? The wilderness. Why is the Lord coming from Jerusalem to the wilderness? Because his feet going to land on Mount Olive and he's going to destroy Jerusalem. But after he get done with that, guess where he going? To the wilderness. Why? Because that's where his people are going to be. That's where his church is going to be. So he says, send ye the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness unto who?
Unto the mount of the daughter of Zion.
Why? Because that's where they are. They're in the wilderness. Go ahead.
For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon. Take counsel, execute judgment, make thou shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. Hide the outcast, be weary, not him that wondereth.
All right, now he's telling Ammon and Moab, all of them, he said, hide my outcasts. Be wary of them that wandereth. Those people that just look like they wander around aimlessly, take care of them people. And who's he talking to? The land, not Edom, the people, the land of Edom. The land of Moab and the land of Ammon, the people that are staying there. Because look, Edom ain't looking out for us. But verse 4.
Let mine outcast dwell with thee, Moab.
Now look what he said. Let my outcasts dwell with thee, Moab. Now remember, he couldn't touch the land of Edom, Moab, and Ammon. Why? Because guess what? That's where the wilderness is. That's where his people going to be. Right under his nose. The very one that Satan couldn't touch. He said, let my outcasts dwell with thee, Moab. Go ahead.
Be thy covered to them from the face of the spoil, for the executioner is at an end. The spoiler ceaseth, the oppressor are consumed out of the land.
So he said, look, let my people hide with you, Moab. Now remember, look on the map. Moab, Edom, Ammon, right outside Jerusalem, well, the land of Israel. Right outside there. But yet, that's what abomination and desolation going to move into, right? The glorious land. And yet, he can't touch them. He can't lay one finger on them. That's why God don't have to rapture us off. Matter of fact, let's go to Psalm 23. We all know that, right? Wait, you see, yeah, go to Psalm 23. No, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Isaiah 35. Then we're going to go to Psalm 23. Now we're going to see what this wilderness looked like. So we know he told Ammon to take care of us, hide us from the extortioner. Let's see the living conditions. Isaiah 35 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. So basically, he's going to make the desert into like the land of Eden, a great place to be. And let's say, you know, you might have some bad knees, bad back, and don't think you can make that journey. Let's see what he's going to say here. 3. Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of fearful heart, be strong, fear not. He said, those who have doubt, gird them up. Stay strong, fear not. Go ahead. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you. Verse 5. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. So basically, he don't give you what you need to make that journey. He don't give you what you need to make that journey. You think you're too old to make that journey? Nah, nope. The Lord gonna take care of that. He gonna make sure you get there. The thing about it is, you gotta be right. Get yourself in order now for him to do that. Because like I said, other scriptures say the fool should not enter therein. Go ahead. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lake shall be grass with reeds and rushes, and an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring man. Thou fool shall not err therein. So basically he said, look, not everybody gonna have access to this highway. That's why we need to get ourselves together now. It's gonna be called the ways of holiness. And he's talking about physically unclean. He's talking about the mentally unclean, like Elijah did that lesson a couple of weeks ago. That's why we need to get ourselves together now. That's what I say, tribulation, are you ready? This is time to prep up. This is time to get it together. Because time go by just like that. Verse 9. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up therein. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. He said, but the redeemed shall walk there. And that should give us some hope. Because we're going to go on this journey, you know, drop everything and go. Who knows what our health's going to be at that time, whether we aching, whether we can even try to walk that distance, how we get there. But the children of Egypt, they walked. So it might be a lot of walking. Might be a couple plane rides too. I don't know. Only thing I know is that Israel is not 2 blocks down. That I do know. But how we get there, it's going to be a journey. But God going to take care of you, give you the strength to get there.
That's why he says, strengthen the feeble knees. Strengthen them. I know your back hurting, bro, but the Lord's going to heal you, man. You're going to leap like a hart, man. We can run 100 together. But you got to have faith. And he told you point blank, fools ain't going to err therein. So get ourselves together now. Now let's go to Psalms 23. Because remember, he told Moab to hide us from the extortioner, right? He said, look, Moab, Edom, Ammon, right under the nose of abomination and desolation. Show you how God works. God ain't no punk. God don't have to wrap you off into heaven to hide from somebody. This is what God will do. Psalms 23, and we always quote this. But let's see if we can put 2 and 2 together now. Psalms 23 and verse 4. Go ahead.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Now he said, yeah, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Can you imagine you fleeing for your life from the extortioner? He just sent an army after you. What more shadow of death than that? People read this scripture because they boast about the fire. Really? When he means walking through the shadow of death, he truly means walking through the shadow of death. Now, your journey is unto a place of safe. You have nowhere knowing where you're going, and you got this army who is trying to kill you. Though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, what? Go ahead.
I will fear no evil.
Strengthen the hand of the weak. Confirm the feeble-minded. Let them know that God going to avenge you. Go ahead.
For thou art with me, thou rod and thou staff, they comfort me.
And once you get to this place that's right under the nose of the extortioner, what has God done? Verse 5.
Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies.
Look, the Lord established a whole wilderness, blossomed and everything, running water, and utopia right there. And guess what's a few blocks down? Jerusalem and the extortioner who's trying to kill you. My God ain't no punk. My God don't have to take me off to no place. God want to protect me right there with everybody around, all my enemies around me. Guess what he'll do? He'll protect you. That's why you got to have faith, even in any circumstances. If you do what you're supposed to do, God going to protect you. If you're not, you got some chastising coming. Pretty simple. So he said, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemy. Go ahead.
Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over.
Now let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Back to Matthew chapter 24. So the bulk of his church is in the wilderness, right? The abomination and desolation is in the holy place. Now we are in tribulation. 1,260 days until tribulation is over, until that seventh trumpet is blown. Matthew chapter 24, and we'll start at verse 21. When you get there, go ahead.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall rise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Now, the reason I'm reading this over again, because I want to bring into mind exactly what we're about to see during tribulation. Because he said, there shall rise false Christs and false prophets, there shall great wonders in heaven, and so much they were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. And verse 25 said, I told you this already, so when it comes to pass, you won't be shocked. So let's go to Revelation 13 now. Let's take a look at some of this that he's talking about. Revelation 13, we'll start at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy.
All right, now this beast riding over the sea is talking about the Roman Empire. He's going to tell us that because Daniel broke down the whole Gentile dynasty in one of his dreams, verse 2.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet was as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And that's talking about the whole Gentile kingdom all mixed into one. And we left off with the last kingdom in Daniel, which is talking about that great dragon, that great beast was so deadly he didn't have an animal for it. Verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And that's talking about the revival of the Roman Empire. Because if you can check even the last 2 million years, that the Roman Empire was destroyed physically. Destroyed physically. And there's been countless kings trying to rebuild the Roman Empire. I think Mussolini was the last one. But now they're actually starting to rebuild the Roman Empire under the EU, the European Union. Matter of fact, if you want to join the EU, you got to sign what they call a Treaty of Rome, because it's the revival of the Roman Empire. Go ahead. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. All right. How long is they going to continue? 40 and 2 months. How long is that? 3.5 years. How many days is that? Come on, y'all. Y'all can cheat. It's on the board. 1,260. So how long is 40 and 2 months? I suggest you memorize that number, because let's say you get left behind. You see the abomination and desolation take one step into the holy place. How long do you got until it's over? There you go. You didn't get a chance to make it. See, trick question. Y'all must didn't do too good on tests, huh? The time that he steps into the temple is 1,260 days. The announcement that he's going into the temple is 1,290 days. That's why it's important to remember that, because you can count down all you want. The Lord telling you right there. Because you never know. We might not be around. You might be the one who might have to lead the group. You can't always depend on Elijah being here or no brother Wayne being here and things like that. We're giving you this message. That's what watchmen do. Watchmen is to warn you. You're supposed to sink it in, not always think we're going to be here to tell you. You might have to tell somebody else. We don't know where we're going to be in 5 years. We might get dispersed. We don't know. That's why we take too much for granted sometimes. So it's 1,260 days, or 40 and 2 months. That's how long the beast is now, going back to the abomination of desolation, is going to prosper. Verse 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Now remember, this is going on during tribulation. This is the same thing Daniel said. He's going to make war against the saints and do what? And to overcome them. Then we read in the previous chapter that the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, them which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. That's who we're making war with. Because the bulk of the church is in a place that's safe. But you might not make it there, so understand what's about to go down. And what shall be happening? Go ahead. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And that's why it said he shall overthrow many countries. Not countries, not just blocks, countries. Verse 8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Now, it's important that we understand how this is about to go down. But verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Go ahead. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now he's talking about the last beast, or the last abomination, desolation. That's why Paul said that, look,
He already exists. But we're looking for this particular one, the final one. And he said, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, because he's always talking peace. But he spake as a dragon. Verse 12.
And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Now didn't Jesus say that they're going to do some signs so wonderful that it shall deceive the very elect? That's why he keeps talking about deception. That's why it's important that God told us all these things, that we remember all these things, so when these things happen, we will not be deceived. He's actually going to make fire literally come down from heaven. That the very elect, talking about those who know it's going to happen, it could deceive them. You might see it happen and be like, man, the Lord did the same thing with Ezekiel. So maybe he is from God. But no, the Lord told us this already, so we won't be deceived. That's why he said, I told you before time. So he said he's going to make fire come down from heaven in the sight of all men, verse 14.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live.
And what's this image going to do? Verse 15.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
So if you don't bow down to this idol, what's going to happen to you? You're going to be killed. So when they say Our Lady or wherever, she's not crying this time. She's not bleeding from the eyes this time. She's talking straight up. And you don't follow, you don't bow down, you're going to be killed. The same thing that happened with the 3 Hebrew boys, Ananias, Mishael, and Azariah. When they heard the sackbut, psaltery, and the music, they were supposed to bow down and worship, right? And we have examples of how they did it. We might be confronted with the same thing. Are we ready for that? Go ahead.
And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
So basically he said, look, he's going to cause everybody to take this mark. Now, I don't know if it's a computer chip or what. I don't know. I can't say. Only thing I do know, when it jump off, you're going to know full aware what it is. It could be a computer chip. We'll find out. But either way it goes, you will not be able to buy or sell without this mark. That's the key thing. They say, man, we're going to convert everything to this chip and put it in your right hand or your forehead. Oh, you won't be able to buy or sell with it? Then you know that's definitely the mark of the beast. But if somebody just walk around with a tattoo 666 across their neck, that ain't the mark of the beast. I mean, it's stupid, don't get me wrong.
That's right.
But it's not the mark of the beast. Because you can buy and sell with that mark all day long. Even if you don't have it, you can do it. So basically the thing is, you cannot buy or sell unless you have this mark. So that's a key sign that we should know. And that takes some great faith. Because think about it. What we say, when people that found the Sabbath day, what's the first thing they say? Well, I got to pay some bills. I got to work on the Sabbath. I got to pay bills. I keep my house, roof on my kid's head. Got to put clothes on my back. So what you going to say here too? Well, I don't take the mark because I got to buy some bills. Pay bills. I got to keep roof on my head, get clothes on my kid's back. Same thing. Same thing. That's why are you ready for tribulation? So it says that in verse 16, it calls all. How absolute is all? Everybody, both small and great, rich and poor, free or bond. Even if you're in jail, you got to take the mark. And I bet it'd be real easy to get you taken then. To receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, verse 17.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that understandeth count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600 threescore and 6.
All right, and we know that's the number of his name in the title Vicar of Christ, which is the name of the Pope. If written in Latin, it's vicarious filii Dei. If you write it now with Roman numerals, it adds up to 666. So let's go a little bit further. Let's go to Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11. So now the abomination, desolation, the Vicar of Christ himself is sitting in a holy place, ruling all these countries, and people are going to have a slight problem with that, because he's going to enforce his religion. And there's some very zealous people in that area who do not want to bow down to Christianity or the Pope at all. So they're going to go to war against him. The Lord ain't going to let them just sit there and have everything going all smooth. Let's see what's going to happen. Daniel chapter 11 and verse 40. When you get there, go ahead.
And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind. So basically, all the surrounding countries, there'll be some countries going to gang up together, and they're going to fight against the abomination and desolation, because they're not going to like how he running things. That's why I said, in the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots and what else? With horsemen and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. So
they're going to go to straight war. They're going to fight against this man who's causing all this stuff to happen. And it's going to jump off to World War III. Let's go to Revelation chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9, we're going to start at verse 13. Revelation chapter 9 and verse 13. Now remember, all this is going on during that 3.5 years, 40 and 2 months, 1,260 days, times and a half a time. All this is going on right now during that time. The bulk of the church is safe in the place of safety in the wilderness. Some are left behind, getting persecuted by the abomination desolation. Now you got the kings of the north, kings of the south, each of them fighting against them. And let's see what's going on. Revelation chapter 9 and verse 13. When you get there, go ahead.
And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the six angels which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. All right, so the great river Euphrates is a river Euphrates in Europe that divides the the south from the north or something like that. Can't remember the directions, but it's dividing these two countries. It's keeping people at bay. These four angels, they're doing what they're doing over there because by actuality, this would have jumped off a long time ago. But the Lord has these angels keeping everybody at bay, making sure that World War III don't jump off at the time not jump off too early. So it said, but at this time, once they hear this sixth trumpet, these four angels shall be loose. Go ahead. And the four angels was loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen was 200,000, and I heard the number of them. So the four angels were loose. Now they stopped keeping everybody at bay. Now the king of the south and the king of the north got together to get a 2 million man army to go against who? Oh boy, in Jerusalem right now. Go ahead. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire.
Now this is talking about war equipment. This is just the best way that John was able to describe it, because he ain't seen nothing like this. This is talking about literal war equipment. We're in full-fledged World War III right now. Go ahead.
And a jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the head of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone.
Jets and helicopters and all that type stuff. 18.
By these there was the third part of men killed. By the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouth. So it said a third part of men on this earth were killed because of this war. All this is going on during tribulation. That's why it said that if the Lord don't end this, all flesh would be
killed. Go ahead, verse 19.
For their power is in their mouth, and in their tails. For their tails was like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt.
Now let's go to the Old Testament. Because like I said, God said in the beginning of the lesson when we read that he told the end from the beginning. From ancient times, right? This very same thing is talked about in Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 6. We'll read verses 1 through 8. Zechariah chapter 6, verses 1 through 8 for those on the phone line. Zechariah chapter 6, verses 1 through 8. When you get there, go ahead.
And I turned and lifted up mine eyes, and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains was mountains of brass.
All right, so these 4 chariots came out between 2 mountains. What are these 2 mountains? Countries. 2 big military mights. These 4 chariots were standing in between them, keeping the peace. Just how we read in Revelations that loosed the 4 angels from the great river Euphrates. As soon as he loosed them, they started going to war. Well, those 2 mountains of brass are calm at this point. But verse 2.
In the first chariot was red horses, in the second chariot black horses, and in third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot garish and bay horses. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth.
These are the 4 angels in the great river Euphrates. But go ahead.
The black horse which are therein go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them, and the grizzly go forth toward the south country.
Now, it didn't say the king of the south was going to push at them, right? Verse 7.
And the bay went forward, and sought to go that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, get you hence, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth. Then cried he upon me, and spake unto me, saying, behold, these that go toward the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country.
So that's what those angels were supposed to do. They're supposed to keep everybody at bay, to make sure World War III don't happen before its time. Because if the Lord just let man do what he going to do, man would have killed ourselves a long time ago. The Lord have ways of slowing stuff down so we reach his timeline. What did he do at the Tower of Babel? He confused everybody. Why? Stretch stuff out. Now, right now, all man is on one language. Why? Through the internet and technology. All the earth can communicate to each other right now. And look what we're doing. So the Lord does things to calm us down. But if the Lord let us do what we want to do, we'll kill ourselves 7 times over. So he's stretching everything out until tribulation. But once tribulation jump off, he's gonna remove those angels, and World War III we about to go to war. And how long man gonna be in tribulation? 3.5 years, 40 and 2 months. And what's the last one? There you go. So now he's really stuck in our head. Let's go to Revelation chapter 11. So now, World War III is going on. The bulk of the church is in a place of safety. The abomination of desolation is in the holy place. There's no more daily sacrifices. Let's see what else is happening during that time. And remember, the abomination of desolation doing all these miracles, making fire come down from heaven, doing all these things. But remember, there's going to be some who will be left behind, right? And let's see the 2 major components that's going to be left behind and what they're going to be doing during tribulation. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 40 and 2 months.
How many years is that? There you go. How many days is that?
1,160.
So we're talking about tribulation, right? Okay. Verse 3.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
How many months is that? How many years is that? Same time during tribulation, right? So you got these 2 witnesses who's going to prophesy the exact time during tribulation. And tribulation is not 7 years. We have not read anywhere out of all these scriptures. We're reading 160, or I'll say 170 because I added some stuff. 70 scriptures. Did we come across anywhere talking about some 7 years? Not at all. That's why I repeat it so much. 3.5 years, 40 and 2 months, 1,260 days. Time, times, and a half a time. All this is going on during tribulation for 3.5 years. So we got these 2 witnesses who are going to prophesy during